Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot. We are coming back today with the Soulmates refresh for June. So, as we're now halfway through the month, looking at all the change that's happened and kind of just the way that the energy's been going, we're going to take a look now to see what we expect to happen for the second half of the month. So we like to do a refresh about halfway through. I used to say that I would do a refresh halfway through if it seemed like things had continued to change in the energy, but it has never not changed since the very beginning when I first came out here in September of last year. There's never been a month that didn't need a refresh in the middle of it. So I usually just figure that we're going to want to work that in. So we're going to do that. It's going to be a general reading as always. Won't resonate with everyone. Shouldn't resonate with everyone. This one's going to be general for this collective. So if you find it resonating with you, all of these readings are connected. So you may want to go back and take a look and see if some of these other readings would be relevant to you and have some good messages in there for you as well. You may even want to subscribe. We're going to jump in with the energetic backdrop. So, as usual, we're getting the energetic backdrop, but this is not going to be for just this day. It's going to be for the second half of June, for the back half of June, with regard to soulmates. Okay, so we've got the Seven of Pentacles. Seven of Pentacles is about investing, about planting a seed, about making kind of that initial investment. You reap what you sow, and this is about sowing. And so this is, I'll be interested to see how this plays out because it's got a couple of different feelings around it, and it's kind of looking to see how far you are, and I mean of how far along you are, how much you've invested, I guess, but also having some opinions about it and kind of having to reconcile those opinions. So it's like your person is looking, yeah, here we go. It's like your person is looking back at this and saying, hold on, I realize that there are some things that maybe I didn't do the way that I intended, and they didn't come out the way that I thought they did. So this is the Page of Cups in reverse. Definitely, you can see with this one, there's a little bit of a disconnected, disjointed feeling just based on the illustration. But here in the reverse, I'm really feeling it. I'm also feeling with this Page of Pentacles in reverse. So you've got a Page of Cups in reverse and a Page of Pentacles in reverse. This is communication that is getting all jumbled up, and it's also a lesson that hasn't been learned. We see the Seven of Swords, and this is kind of almost an energy of, I don't this is interesting. So it's this feeling of I don't have the self-trust to even look myself in the eye in the mirror. Interesting. Why would that be? This is coming from your person. They feel really guilty about something. They feel guilty about something that is coming back to them, and they're having the realization that they have made a mistake, and that we saw this recently. We saw this in I think it was the reading the day before yesterday. Like, they recognize they have made an error. They recognize when they go in and they evaluate, this is so much their energy. When they go in and they evaluate whether or not they have appropriately invested, they're coming back with, oh no, I really didn't. But it's not necessarily consistent with what they want to remember. And so there's some fancy footwork they're having to do there as they're making this disconnected realization that they still haven't learned the lesson. And that strikes a lot of fear in them. So that's kind of what's happening in this energetic backdrop. You know, and if you look back at like your general reading yesterday, I did the general refresh for June. That one was really uplifting, and I was like, wow, this is one of those days where it's really great to be part of the collective. Like, this person is not feeling that way about the about the second half of June. This is a difficult energy for your person to be in. You may, like I said, there's communication kind of getting all jumbled on itself. Here's another page. So remember, pages are, they're youthful, which is a great thing when it's like this one where they're very curious, willing to do fun things, willing to do new things, but it also means not a lot of experience, sometimes a little on the naive side. This person may not be like youthful like a child, but they do have some elements to them that I don't care how old they are. There's some naivete with them with regard to this, whatever the circumstances of this relationship are. And in some cases, it's just going to be, and this is probably not going to be for well, it's definitely not going to be for everybody, but there's somebody out there. There's a few of you out there. There's enough of you out there, I feel like I have to say it, where there is somebody who got married early on, or jumped into a family situation relatively early on. Then they met you and were like, uh-oh. You make them feel incredible. You give them this sense of this pain that they didn't even realize they were carrying around with them. You make it feel like it's going away, but you also cast an awful lot of mystery on the situation. They start to see you as almost a spiritual leader, or somebody that they're able to look up to for some of their answers, despite the fact that they are creating an awful lot of distance between the two of you. So it's kind of got, and there's emotional distance to be traveled. That was kind of, that Two of Wands was a little bit of an honorable mention, but there's a distance, an emotional distance there between the two of you, that it's been really difficult to cover that distance, particularly difficult to cover that distance. There is spiritual guidance there for them to have, but they're, for whatever reason, kind of not availing themselves of that. And yet they have these questions, but they're so afraid of the answers. And yet they kind of, we see it in all of these readings where they're so magnetized toward you, and yet the fear is so great that that's the last place that they want to go. They'll do anything to, like, they're kicking and screaming trying to get away from somebody that makes all their pain go away. It's the strangest thing, because on one hand you'd be like, why would you ever do that? But on the other hand, you realize, oh, you're both married, or whatever the situation is. There's something there that is that Two of Wands impasse. And in some cases, it's more than one thing. You're married and there's a 10-year age gap, or something. I'm putting that out there because that's absolutely going to be true for some of you. But by the same token, there are some of you where there's not a marriage in the picture. There's not the same relationship in the picture, and yet the rest of the dynamic still plays out. The nervousness, a lot of this is not on a conscious level for your person. And as it's kind of churning in them in the latter part of June, I'm wondering, as we get here towards the middle, what that means for, what you can expect, what you need to know about that. But first, let's see if there's anything else that we need to see. It's like at least one more card needs to come out for the general energy of the back half of June. Sometimes I get in there and it really doesn't require me to put down very many cards. Yesterday I had this kind of, I guess it wasn't yesterday, maybe it was the day before, there was that mic drop of a card, or mic drop of a concept. And it was like, you don't need any more cards after that. So we have the Knight of Cups and the Wheel. This Knight of Cups is, I got this in that same reading previously. So this reminds me of, there is a likelihood that you're going to hear from an unhealed person who kind of comes back in this a little bit of an awkward way. There's a lot of change in the energy between the two of you right now. Not just change in the energy, not just change for you or change for them, but specifically as it relates to the relationship between the two of you. But the way that this energy makes you feel like you're coming together, it's hard to say how they're going to respond to that. I feel like they're going to they're going to flip or fly. They're either going to come towards you or they're going to run away even harder. And the thing is that some of them are so distant that if they run away even harder, it's not, you're going to feel a little bit of a thunk, but it's not really going to mean anything different for your daily life. You might feel a difference in the energy, but you're unlikely to notice anything significant if they're already in no contact. So let's take a look at what you can expect for the rest of the month, what you need to know about the rest of the month. And, it's like I said with yesterday's reading, this isn't so much, here's what's going to happen in the rest of the month. It's more the energies that are working on you, because it's going to be so heavily leveraged in, and I think that's exactly how I said it, your free will and the free will of others. that making predictions has a lot less value, rather than just kind of telling you the energy that's happening and around. Okay, so this King of Pentacles or King of Discs energy that's in the reverse, this is the energy of not understanding your value. This is both of you. I feel like it's shared energy of not understanding your values. Let's see why the King of Discs is here. Why is the King of Discs here in this capacity? Okay. And then I drop one. Yep. I dropped the Strength card coming out sideways, which is exactly how it feels, and it's exactly how we're going to keep it. Then we have the Lover's card. Oh, yes, and the Knight of Wands. So here is what's happening with these. So the King of Discs, the first thing that I felt when that came out was imposter syndrome. I'm not ready for this. I don't know why anybody thinks I'm ready for this. Why did you hire me? That sort of feeling. And that's this, on some level, you know exactly why they hired you or exactly what you're going to do in this situation, how you're going to excel. On the other hand, there's other times when you kind of don't feel like that at all, and your person's in exactly the same place. So that Strength card, we're going to go ahead and leave it sideways because it feels like it's equally up, versus reversed. The Knight of Wands here, this is like sudden bursts of energy. There's sudden bursts of energy that happen across the course of this month. But yet it's difficult to say where they culminate and whether they culminate in much, because this King of Discs has such a feeling of, I don't believe I can do this. And the Lover's card feels like, I don't believe I have a choice in this. So it's almost like cutting yourself off at the knees before even having the opportunity to utilize any of that strength. So it's not, it doesn't look like there is a lot of everything coming together for this relationship, despite the fact that we saw some everything coming together for you in the latter half of June. It's not necessarily magical within this relationship in quite the same way, but we've seen things shifting for you that are on a different path than what's happening with your person, because you started making your adjustments really after this experience with your person ended, or after it really started to shift and change, whereas your person kind of got triggered and had some of their changes already happening while you were together, experiencing things together. So we've got the Star card. Again, it feels like a delay. Again, it feels like an inevitability, and it's something that it's like both of you understand there is an inevitability about this energy. And on one hand, it makes your person say, okay, thank heaven that there's an inevitability, because I surely don't, I don't know how this is possibly going to work out. So it's good for me to be able to kind of rest and sit back and know that it's going to happen somehow, but not have to think about that at this time. Because there is a lot of element of not having worked things out to that point. We saw the Hermit card come out in the reverse for you recently when you had gone into the hermit cave and then got creeped out by the bugs and the idea of the bugs, even though it was really, really dark, and turned around and ran out before you found what it was that you were after. And your person, like, that's their lifestyle. It's basically that's how they operate. But this is about to be extra challenging, because here in the back half of this month we see communication that almost feels as if it must occur. So I've been hearing it from you in some of the emails and communications that I've had with people, but it's this sense of, it's this feeling like they have to reach out. There's this feeling like a need to reach out, and there's also this incredible push against it, and it's, so this is happening on both sides, but it's just really, there's a lot of strong feelings on both sides about this, and yet a lot of resistance, but not necessarily resistance toward the same things. There's a resistance to a change that needs to first off, the obsessive thinking on both sides actually has to go away and give way to focus on something that is different, because otherwise it's going to get sour. That's like the word that wants to come out. So we have this is a time to retreat back into your respective corners, like you're in the corners of a boxing ring, and it's time to retreat back into your corners in between rounds. That's what this feels like happens during the course of June. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not like you're losing ground. It's just uncoordinated, and you may end up losing some ground if this person reaches out in a particularly uncoordinated and uncultured way. But I think for most people, it's probably less like that. I think there are definitely going to be some of you that have you have that conversation and it really goes poorly, or they end up reblocking you, or there's a lot of block, unblock, kind of weird energy going on there. But that isn't going to be most people. In most cases, they're going to come really close to it and they're going to balk. There's an energy of pushing that communication forward, and the more there's kind of no right answer for them there, because if they reach out to you and they're not healed yet, which they're not, then you're going to be seeing them reacting to their fears of the big three, which is the rejection, the abandonment, the betrayal. They have this key right there, and they are the only ones that are able to let themselves in this door. But they're not focused on the right things, and that's part of why it's not happening right now. And if they communicate with you, what you're going to discover is they're not ready to have that communication. And yet, it is the desire to do so is so strong. Please try to be understanding if they come in with that sense of, here's the King of Pentacles again, just like the King of Discs up here. It's like, here it is at the top, here it is at the bottom, just to remind you it's that duplicated message once again. We have the Seven of Pentacles over here. It's a question and answer. Have I invested? No, I haven't invested. And this feeling, I don't deserve to be here. A bit of imposter syndrome too. I don't deserve to be here. And they can't not be here. They are having a really hard time staying away. So try to be understanding of the fact that if you have the opportunity to talk with this person, that they can't not come your direction. They're having a really hard time keeping quiet, but they're not ready to have a productive conversation just yet. They still have a lot of learning they need to do. You may end up feeling a little disappointed by what you see there. Um, we'll look a little bit more into this when we get into the extended, because I feel like there's a need to be gentle with this person, but not to give them. Let's look into we'll look into kind of how you should think about this, because there is a sense of you need to be able to be gentle and understanding with this person, but also don't give them an inch because they'll take a mile. So we'll look into it a little bit more, because that's a really interesting kind of almost, it almost matches, but not quite. Let's look into what your focus is for the back half of this month, especially given what we see here in the rest of this reading. What is your area of focus for the last half of this month? Knowing that your person is kind of eddying around in some difficult, cyclical, tiny cycles, cyclical energy. I think we saw yesterday that there, or maybe it wasn't yesterday, I forget, I get my days mixed up, but there was an end of a cycle coming, that it was like the end of a part of a cycle, but there was more to it. Okay, so we've got this Valet of Wands, that's like the Page of Wands. It's this energy over here, only it's kind of like the part of it that I like better. So this is a curious page. It's also fun-loving, willing to try new things, has a lot of passion and flair, that sort of page. And so that's part of the energy that's in here. That's really what's coming out here. So this is, there's a lot of curiosity in this. The word curiosity just wants to come out in a lot of these readings here. So this is your area of focus. Is this King of Cups, encouraging you to, okay, there's going to be a situation, we've talked about this, it showed up in another reading. There's going to be a situation where you don't feel, we talked about this a while ago, like it was a couple of weeks ago, I think. But there's going to be a situation where you don't feel like you can really go into the emotion with somebody. You're going to meet somebody new, like a not even a romantic person. It's a soulmate though, and it's here to teach you maybe just this. But you're going to get close enough to this person that you're going to go, oh, whoa, I'm not ready to commit, and I'm not ready to. You need to dabble. You need to dabble in that emotion and allow it to happen, because there's going to be something important for you there. There's also this sense of aimlessly meandering towards something that you're going on a cycle over and over again. So be watching for the cycle that you're repeating, and you're doing so out of like a sense of habit and comfort with the habit. What did I drop? Got cards all over the place here, and that one dropped face up. Um, okay. I'm just going to pull all the cards out that fell for you, and then I'm going to start feeling for what order they want to come out. I had quite a few of them kind of spill out, and was like, you will take them all. Possibly, yes, that one too. Okay, so we're just going to take them from that direction. So the first one that came out there was the Magician in reverse. And the Magician in reverse is talking about your ability to move forward and kind of manifest your own dreams. There's a feeling here, it's a perception, this feeling that you are not really in a place to be able to manifest your own dreams. That it's feeling like you're not comfortable doing that, and it has to do with this cycle that you're on. It's like you get tired from that. Here is where you've got some consternation that comes from fighting the wrong battles. And it's something that you could easily just walk away from, or I shouldn't say easily. It's not necessarily easy to just walk away from it. You have to understand how to extract yourself. That's one of those situations where it's going to be a lot more evident when it's in your rear view mirror how easy it would have been to just walk away from whatever this is a way of thinking. This is and it reminds me of like what I see here in the Magician in reverse, in this feeling of I just can't do it. I'm not in a place where I can do it. I've got this cycle that's going on, and like as if that cycle is just going to go on forever, but it's not. Then you've got the Emperor card in reverse. Here's where you look at this cycle that's going on, and you are not seeing that you're able to manifest your way out of this, so you decide to force your way out of it. Look for that to happen, but we already know there's going to be some uncomfortable things that could potentially happen for you here during the back half of the month of June, especially with regard to this person. But you're being encouraged to lean in, just lean into what's coming. So take this Ace of Cups energy. This is you. This is all you. And remember from yesterday's reading, which was a general reading, but those are really interesting because it's you. It's not pulling that soulmate energy in, even though sometimes that's the messages that come out. We have energy within you that, remember, was going to have something that you're supposed to look for. You're supposed to look for a situation where that Three of Cups in reverse energy, where it was the energy gets dammed up and isn't able to come out. And then you're going to point your ability to have your emotion and your truth at it. It's because of this Queen of Pentacles feeling, but it's also going to unleash something for you. So be prepared. It's like as soon as you get out of your own way, this Ace of Wands is going to turn into the upright, and all of a sudden your soul has the capacity to be lit on fire. You have the opportunity to get out of your own way here in the month of June. We are definitely going to read a little bit more about that when we get to the extended. Yes, you'll be moving into a place of this is happiness, but this is like aware happiness. You know what you're doing. It's not just like the naive sort of happiness where you haven't figured out yet that there's a problem. This is the kind where you're the one that, like, your name is on the lease and you're happy and you're having a party and it's great. Um, then we've got the Temperance card that has come out here in the reverse. And I think what really that one feels like the work is not yet done, which we know, but there is such a nice corner that you have the potential to turn here during the month of June, and it has so much to do with the ability to point this love at things. doesn't feel like it's strong in manifestation, despite the fact that if like we saw before, if you step back, you're going to see things falling into place. Just maybe try not to overly exert too much control on it. So we're going to go into the extended, and we'll look into the extended a little bit more to see kind of what's happening with your person. I see with your person that there's a lot of reluctance and a lot of fear. Let's get into their emotions a little bit here when we get into this extended. And it's emotions across, of course, the back half of the month, given all of the things that we see here, the feelings of unworthiness and the feelings of imposter syndrome, the feelings that they're catching themselves in not having invested enough, but also the fact that you've got all of this great capacity. So we'll look at you too, but we're going to look at your person and their emotions around the subject as well. So I'll see you in the extended if you'd like to join me there. The link is down below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you again in tomorrow's reading.